Hari Om. Namaste to all. Namaste to all. Prostrating at the lotus feet of Brahmanishta Shrotriya Sadguru Swami Virajeshwara Saraswati and the entire Guru Parampara on behalf of all of us. Today's discourse on Viveka Chudamani will continue. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Mahasaraswatyai Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham Shri Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashtakrudo Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham Om Namo Bhagavate Virajeshwaraya Harihi Om. Last time in the Viveka Chudamani, verse number 368, sloka number 368, we had stopped. So from 369 onwards, today, the discourse will commence. All the time, Acharya Bhagavatpada is stressing on the what is called as the culmination of Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and by the grace of the Pratyagatman or Atman himself, in that state, ultimately the dawn of jnana or realization occurs in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And the last sloka, the last charana, I just repeat the last line of the last sloka, that is, Tam chapi purnatmani nirvikalpe vilapya shantim paramam bhajasva. So, by merging yourself, all your antakarana, everything, by controlling the speech, controlling the mind, everything one by one merge. You merge everything into the buddhi, and then in the buddhi into the buddhi sakshi, Jivatma, and then the Jivatma into Purna. Ultimately merge everything within and within and within towards. Finally, in the Atma itself, in the Pratyagatma itself, then only you will obtain the permanent bliss. That was the point last time. Now, the one important insightful points here, Sri Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamigal, who has written the Bhashyam commentary on this, Viveka Chudamani, on this shloka, Mahaswami further, he clarifies, states one point very clearly here. What Acharya Bhagavatpada is hinting here repeatedly, stressing here repeatedly is, according to Mahaswami, you realize the meaning of Tvam. Realize the meaning of Tvam after careful analysis, by discrimination, by analyzing what is Atma Padartha and what is Anatma Padartha. In other words, what is Atma and what is Anatma. Analyze and discriminate correctly by the Viveka, by that reasoning power of the intellect. Realize internally, completely, in toto, the meaning of Tvam after careful analysis, and then merge that into the Atma Tattva itself, So the meaning of Tvam, when it is analyzed correctly, merge that into the Atma Tattva itself, which is beyond speech, time, object, anything you conceive of, which is changeless, timeless, qualityless, attributeless. It is eternal. It remains as it is. It is the only one with no second. Ekam eva advitiyam atmata. So, in other words, what Mahaswami is hinting here is unify the meaning of Tvam with Tat. You are that. Tvam means you, Tat means that. So, that is a famous Mahavakya of the Shruti Upanishad, that is Tattvamasi. So, that is a point Mahaswami is hinting in his commentary on this. So, next. देह प्राणेन्द्रिय मनोबुद्धि आदिभिः उपादिभिः यैर्वृत्ते समायोगः तत्तद्भावोऽस्य योगिनः देह प्राणेन्द्रिय मनोबुद्धि आदिभिः उपादिभिः यैर्वृत्ते समायोगः तत्तद्भावोऽस्य योगिनः. Next shloka, Acharya is telling the disciple a very pertinent point, a general point. What is that? ಈ ಮುಂದಿನ ಶ್ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ? ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಯಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಉತ್ತಮ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಯಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಶಿಷ್ಯನಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಯೋಗಿಯ ಅಥವಾ ಮುನಿಯ ಅಥವಾ ಉತ್ತಮ ಸಾಧಕನ ಅಂತಃಕರಣ ವೃತ್ತಿಯು ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಮನಸ್ಸು, ಬುದ್ಧಿ, ದೇಹ, ಪ್ರಾಣ, ಇಂದ್ರಿಯಗಳು ಇತ್ಯಾದಿ ಇಂತಹ ಉಪಾಧಿಗಳ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೋ, ಏಕಾಗ್ರತೆ ಹೊಂದುತ್ತದೆಯೋ, ತನ್ಮಯತೆಯನ್ನು ಹೊಂದುತ್ತದೆಯೋ, ಅದೇ ಪ್ರಕಾರವಾಗಿ ಆಯಾ ಭಾವ ಉಂಟಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಯೋಗಿಯ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಧ್ಯಾನದ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಇತರ ಉಪಾಧಿಗಳೊಂದಿಗೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಶರೀರ, ಅಂತಃಕರಣ, ಅಹಂಕಾರ, ಮನಸ್ಸು, ಬುದ್ಧಿ, ಚಿತ್ತ, ಇಂದ್ರಿಯಗಳು ಇತ್ಯಾದಿಗಳ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸಂಯೋಗ ಹೊಂದುತ್ತದೆಯೋ ಆ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಭಾವ ಉಂಟಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. Now, in this a sort of a general statement, it is a perfect statement for analysis. Acharya is telling the disciple, look, what is in general happening in the spiritual line? What is generally happening? He says, Deha prana indriya manobuddhi adivihi upadivihi yayaivrittehe samayogas yoga tat bhavo asya yoginah tat bhavaha. That means the yogi's mind, the muni, the sadhaka, the spiritual aspirant who is in the sadhana mode, who is doing spiritual sadhana, when his mind accordingly, when it identifies with the upadhi, like the body, the mind, the chitta, the buddhi, intellect or prana or sense organs, accordingly, in the same way, that type of bhava persists. That means, what Acharya is telling in the shloka here, if the yogi develops dehatma buddhi or sharira buddhi, if the spiritual aspirant all the time during sadhana, during meditation, if he still retains his sharira abhimana, that I am the body, I am the mind, I am this ego, I am so and so. So if that ahankara or ego persists and it connects to the body, physical body. So if the sadhaka's mind is connected in that sense to the physical body, if he is identifying himself with the sharira, the body, internal organs and the external organs put together, if he is identifying himself with the mind and the body complex, that means he remains in that dehatma bhava. He remains in that. It is subtly Acharya is hinting that he remains in Dvaita Bhava, dualistic mode. He will never come out of that. He remains in Dvaita Bhava only. He will never enter into Atma Bhava. That is the inner implied meaning. ದೇಹ ಇಂದ್ರಿಯಗಳ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಸಮೀಕರಣವಾದರೆ ದೇಹಾತ್ಮ ಬುದ್ಧಿಯೇ ಉಳಿದುಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸಾಧನಾ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಆತ್ಮತತ್ವದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಹೋಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. So the yogi's mind gets stuck. That is the point. So Acharya is now hinting, he is differentiating, he is warning, he is cautioning the Shishya. If you are stuck with the body-mind complex attitude, you remain in that bhava only, in that level only. You will never go up and up and up in the spiritual sadhana. Remember this. To further complete this point, in the next shloka, Acharya takes up and gives the answer for it. So, ಮುಂದಿನ ಶ್ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯಕ್ಕೆ ಪೂರಕವಾಗಿ ಉತ್ತರವನ್ನು ಆಚಾರ್ಯರೇ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮುಂದಿನ ಶ್ಲೋಕ, ತನ್ನಿವೃತ್ಯ ಮುನೆ ಸಮ್ಯಕ್ ಸರ್ವೋ ಪರಮಣಂ ಸುಖಂ ಸಂದೃಶ್ಯತೆ ಸದಾನಂದ ರಸಾನುಭವ ವಿಪ್ಲವಃ. ತನ್ನಿವೃತ್ಯ ಮುನೆ ಸಮ್ಯಕ್ ಸರ್ವೋ ಪರಮಣಂ ಸುಖಂ ಸಂದೃಶ್ಯತೆ ಸದಾನಂದ ರಸಾನುಭವ ವಿಪ್ಲವಃ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಶ್ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ನೋಡಪ್ಪ ವತ್ಸ, ನೋಡಪ್ಪ ಶಿಷ್ಯ, ತತ್ನಿವೃತ್ಯೆ, ನಿವೃತ್ಯೆ, ಇವುಗಳ ಪರಿಹಾರದಿಂದ, ಈ ಶರೀರಾಭಿಮಾನವನ್ನು ಬಿಡೋದರಿಂದ, ಮನಸ್ಸನ್ನ ನಾನು ದೇಹ, ನಾನು ಮನಸ್ಸು, ನಾನು ಇಂದ್ರಿಯ, ನಾನು ಇಂಥವನು ಅನ್ನೋ ಭಾವ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅಂತಃಕರಣ ಭಾವ, ಇದನ್ನ ಬಿಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಮುನಿಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೀತಿಯ ಇಂದ್ರಿಯಗಳಿಂದ ಉಪರತಿಯನ್ನ ಹೊಂದಿ, ಅವುಗಳಿಂದ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಹೊಂದಿದಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅತಿಶಯವಾದ ನಿರತಿಶಯವಾದ ಸುಖ, ಸದಾನಂದ ರಸಾನುಭವ, ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾನಂದ ಸುಖದ ಅನುಭವ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಸದಾನಂದ ರಸಾನುಭವದ ಪರಿಪೂರ್ಣತೆ ಕಂಡು ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವಾಗ ಅವಿದ್ಯೆಯಿಂದ ಉಂಟಾದಂತಹ ದೇಹಾತ್ಮ ಬುದ್ಧಿ ನಿವೃತ್ತಿಯಾದಾಗ ಆತ ರಸಾನುಭವ, ಸದಾನಂದ, ಏಕರಸನಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಪೂರ್ಣಾನಂದ, ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾನಂದದ ಅನುಭವಕ್ಕೆ ಪಾತ್ರನಾಗುತ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಶ್ಲೋಕ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ he says, previously he said, if you are stuck with sharira abhimana, with Dvaita Buddhi, you are stuck there only. Now he says, tat nivritya mune samyak sarvoparamam sukham sandrushyate sadananda rasanubhava viplava. So look, when the mind is completely withdrawn, tat nivrutye, when the mind is withdrawn from this type of identifying with the body, sharirabhimana, dehabhimana, I am this body, mind complex. Who are you? I am so and so. We always identify. This is Dvaita Bhava, dualistic. I am so and so. That means I am identifying. My ego is there. My ahankara says I am this body. I am man or a woman. Like that. So when the mind is completely withdrawn, uparati, withdrawn, during the sadhana, with one-pointed concentration, with viveka and vairagya, the mind is completely withdrawn from this type of identifying with the body consciousness. Then the experience of the supreme bliss, the experience of the Brahmananda, experience of the Nijananda flashes. So that is the point, Acharya. So the Sharirabhimana is there. That is because of avidya, or at the individual level, avidya, the primary ignorance, is also called Maya at the collective level. Individual level, in the entity level, it is called avidya, ignorance. Ignorance means I have forgotten my true nature. I don't know that I am really that. I only know that I am this body with a name and a status. I only know that I am called by this name. I am a man or I am a woman. I have forgotten by pramada, primordial ignorance. That is avidya. Avidya. At the collective level, it is called Maya. At the samashti level, it is called Maya. At the individual veshti level, it is called avidya. So due to avidya, Sharirabhimana is there. When Sharirabhimana goes away, which is due to avidya or primary ignorance, then only you are eligible for the experience of Nijabodha, Sukha. Sandrushyate Sadananda Rasanubhava Viplava. Then you are eligible to taste the nectar of Brahmananda, Nijananda, supreme bliss. Then you are eligible to experience firsthand that real bliss after realizing who I am, who really I am, which was masked due to avidya all the time. So that is the point. So this is the insight in this shloka. Mahaswami extensively writes his commentary on this. Why this experience will not come in everyone's life? Because of avidya, because of primordial ignorance. See, avidya, ignorance, ajnana, in other words, Vedantic words. Ajnana or avidya actually manifests how? Mainly avidya manifests, according to Mahaswami, Chandrasekhar Mahaswami. Avidya, ignorance, ajnana, primarily it manifests in our life from birth to death. And also in the next birth, rebirth. Again, same thing, same avidya will continue. So this avidya exhibits itself primarily in the form of asmita, number 1, raga, number 2, dvesha, number 3, abhinivesha, number 4. These are all very important attributes, lakshanas of avidya. What is asmita? Asmita means ego. See, these are all Vedantic terms. Asmita means ego. I am so and so. That I-ness, myself. I am identifying that I am this body. So this ego, ahankara, ahambhava, is called asmita. It is persisting. From so many previous generations, it will persist also in the future generations. This is an important lakshana of avidya, asmita. Then next lakshana is raga. Raga means, desires. Kama, basically, desires, expectations, desires, expectations. In other words, because of desires, you are attached. You are attached to something. You are attached so much that you want to possess something. So the feeling of possession, having something, obtaining something is due to attachment, association, due to sangha. So that feeling of attachment is raga, also called, desires, kama. Dvesha, opposite. feeling of hatredness, the anger, the jealousy, all come because of hatredness. You become jealous, you become angry, you envy, because when you don't possess something, when you don't obtain something which you really wanted, when you see others possessing those pleasurable things in the life, when you see others are placed at a wonderful, favorable conditions, super rich, wealthy people enjoying the life according to their taste, and since due to the absence of wealth, I'm not able to enjoy and procure all those pleasurable things in my life, so you become sort of angry. Angry because it leads to jealousy. That leads to restlessness. So the mind is completely perturbed. So it is all due to dvesha, the hate. We start hating others. Sometimes we start hating our own people. Sometimes we even hate ourselves as to why I am in this pitiable condition, why I am poor, why God made me to be born in this particular poor family. I start hating myself also. So the hatred, dvesha, another attribute of avidya. Then abhinivesha. Abhinivesha, subtly from birth to death, it is embedded in the deeper side, in the subconscious mind as we call, in the chitta as it is called. What is abhinivesha? The greatest attribute due to avidya. Abhinivesha means the fear of death. Marana bhaya. Marana bhaya is called abhinivesha. They're all attributes of avidya. So, because of this avidya, the sharirabhimana becomes stronger and stronger. So, that's what Acharya is telling here. Once, if you get rid of this avidya, means tannivritya, Mahaswami writes. According to Shankara Bhagavatpada in the shloka, tannivritya muneha samyak sarvoparamanam sukham means, tat nivritya means after the getting rid of avidya, after getting rid of the attributes of avidya in our life, after getting rid of this ego, ahankara called asmita, getting rid of raga, that feeling of possessing everything every time according to my will and wish, that desire, that desirous nature, attachment, in other words, raga, and dvesha, hatred, and abhinivesha, death fear, abhinivesha. If we get rid of all these things, then what happens? The mune, the spiritual aspirant, enters deep into the samadhi. After getting rid of all these things, he will enter into deeper samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi. He attains by the grace of God, and then he will enjoy the supreme bliss. That is the point. Because there is a saying in Shrutis, Mahaswami writes, Vidushopi maranat bhitihi. Even the learned scholars, even the Shastra Vedas, who are highly learned, who are Vedic scholars, who recite all the mantras, who know everything, about the Vedas, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavata. They give a lot of pravachans, discourses on that, day in and day out. Even such great scholars, however great scholars they may be, they are still afraid of death. That death fear is always there. Only a jnani is beyond all these things. As long as we remain ajnanis in this life, all these attributes of avidya are there permanently in our mind. controlling the mind. That is the point to remember. So in the next set of shlokas, now Acharya Bhagavatpada, now he stresses on, he throws more light, more importance on Vairagya. Vairagya or Virakta Bhava. ಮುಂದಿನ ಕೆಲವು ಶ್ಲೋಕಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ವೈರಾಗ್ಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಗಮನವಿಟ್ಟು ಶ್ಲೋಕಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುವ ಹಾಗೆ ಶಿಷ್ಯನಿಗೆ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯದ ಪ್ರಾಮುಖ್ಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮುಂದಿನ ಶ್ಲೋಕಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ ಇನ್ ವೇದಾಂತಿಕ? ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ ಆರ್ ವಿರಾಗ is opposite to raga. Opposite to raga means viraga. Absence of raga is viraga or vairagya. So what is raga? Raga is attachment. Raga is full of desire. That, the setting of desires. Raga means association. Raga means your kama. Raga means feeling of possessing everything which you like. When you see something, when you hear something, you want something. You want to possess for you only. So always when the mind thinks of pleasurable things, that is called exhibition of raga, desires. So when opposite to raga is viraga, desirelessness. So when the mind becomes less and less and less desireful, when you develop desirelessness, when the desires are cut down voluntarily with determination, because mind always thinks, mind is not in the control. So by forcibly we have to shut off all the desires one by one, one by one, one by one. So when the desires, as and when they sprout, if they are removed by determination, then the mind subsides. It becomes almost no more desires to be fulfilled. Then the mind enters a state of calmness. Vairagya ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ ಅಥವಾ ವಿರಾಗ, ರಾಗರಹಿತವಾದ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ. ಅದು ವಿರಕ್ತ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ, ಏನನ್ನೂ ಬಯಸದೇ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ, ವಿರಾಗ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ. ಬಯಕೆಗಳು ಹುಟ್ಟಬಾರದು, ಅದು ಬೇಕು ಇದು ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಬಿಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಒಂದು ದಿವಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ. ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯರಿಗೆ, ಗೃಹಸ್ಥರಿಗೆ, ಈಗಿನ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರ ಅರ್ಥ ಹಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಯಾವಾಗ ಮನಸ್ಸು ನನಗೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಹೊಂದಬೇಕು, ಅದನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಸದಾ ಚಡಪಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಸದಾ ಆಸೆಗಳು ಹುಟ್ಟುತ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದು ವಸ್ತುವನ್ನು ನಾನು ಪಡಿಲೇಬೇಕು, ಶತಾಯಗತಾಯ ಅಂತಹ ಆಸೆಗಳನ್ನು ಹತ್ತಿಕ್ಕುವುದು, ಅದು ವೈರಾಗ್ಯದ ಲಕ್ಷಣ. ಬೇಕು 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 ಅನ್ನೋ ಬದಲು ಇನ್ನು ಸಾಕು ಸಾಕು ಸಾಕು, ಇರೋದ್ರೊಳಗೆ ತೃಪ್ತಿ ಪಡೋಣ, ಬಂದದ್ದು ಭಗವಂತನ ಕೃಪೆಯಿಂದ ಏನು ಬಂದಿದೆಯೋ ಅದರಲ್ಲೇ ತೃಪ್ತಿ ಪಡೋಣ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೇಕು 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 ಅನ್ನೋ ಭಾವ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬಿಡೋಣ. ಈ ಭಾವಕ್ಕೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಸಿದ್ಧವಾದಾಗ ಅದು ವಿರಾಗದ ಲಕ್ಷಣ, ವಿರಕ್ತಿಯ ಲಕ್ಷಣ. ಸೊ ಈ ವಿರಕ್ತಿ ವಿರಾಗದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ವೈರಾಗ್ಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮುಂದಿನ ಶ್ಲೋಕಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಂತಸ್ತ್ಯಾಗೋ ಬಹಿಸ್ತ್ಯಾಗೋ ವಿರಕ್ತಸ್ಯೈವ ಯುಜ್ಯತೆ, ತ್ಯಜತಿ ಅಂತರ್ಬಹಿಸ್ಸಂಗಂ ವಿರಕ್ತಸ್ತು ಮುಮುಕ್ಷಯ. ಅಂತಸ್ತ್ಯಾಗೋ ಬಹಿಸ್ತ್ಯಾಗೋ ವಿರಕ್ತಸ್ಯೈವ ಯುಜ್ಯತೆ, ತ್ಯಜತಿ ಅಂತಃ ಬಹಿಸ್ಸಂಗಂ ವಿರಕ್ತಸ್ತು ಮುಮುಕ್ಷಯ. ಒಳಗಿನಿಂದ ತ್ಯಾಗ, ಒಳಗಿನಿಂದ ಬಿಡೋದು, ಮತ್ತು ಹೊರಗಿನಿಂದ ತ್ಯಾಗ. ಅಂತಃ ತ್ಯಾಗ ಮತ್ತು ಬಹಿರ್ತ್ಯಾಗ, ಒಳಗಿನಿಂದ ಹೊರಗಿನಿಂದ ಎರಡನ್ನೂ ಬಿಡತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅವನು, ಇದು ವಿರಕ್ತ ಭಾವವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದವನಿಗೆ ಇದು ಯುಕ್ತವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಿಷಯ. ಯಾರು ವಿರಕ್ತನಾಗಿದ್ದಾನೋ ಆತ ಒಳಗು ಹೊರಗು ಯಾವುದನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನೂ ಬಿಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ. ಅಂತರಂಗದಿಂದ ತ್ಯಾಗ ಮತ್ತು ಬಹಿರ್ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ತ್ಯಾಗ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿದ್ಧನಾಗಿರ್ತಾನಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗೆ ಆ ವಿರಕ್ತನಾದವನಿಗೆ ಅಂಥ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ವಿರಾಗಿ, ಅಂತಹ ವಿರಕ್ತ, ಅಂತಹ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ ನಿಧಿ ಯಾತಕ್ಕೆ ತ್ಯಾಗವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಆಸಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ? ಮೋಕ್ಷವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, ಪರಮ ಪುರುಷಾರ್ಥವಾದ ಜೀವನದ ಪರಮ ಗುರಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಜನ್ಮರಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಯನ್ನು ಹೊಂದುವ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ, ಪರಮ ಪುರುಷಾರ್ಥವನ್ನು ಪಡೆಯುವ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ, ಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದುವ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ ಆತ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ? ಆಸಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ. ತ್ಯಜತಿ ಅಂತರ್ಬಹಿಸ್ಸಂಗಂ ವಿರಕ್ತಃ ತು ಮುಮುಕ್ಷಯ. So, in this shloka, what Acharya says? The one who is detached, tyaga means, it also means giving up. So you are detached, detachment. You don't feel like possessing everything in your life except bare minimum what is required to survive. Except the bare essentials, you don't want to possess anything in life. So you are detached. So the one who is detached, one who is desireless, one who is a viragi, both internally and externally, for such persons, detachment perfectly fits in. And only such a person who is detached completely, such a person gives up the desires completely. So there is simple point Acharya is making. To further enlarge this point, Acharya continues. Bahistu vishayai sangam tatantara ahamadivihi virakta eva shaknoti tyaktum brahmani nishtitah. Bahistu vishayai sangam tatantara ahamadivihi virakta eva shaknoti tyaktum brahmani nishtitah. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡನೇ ಚರಣ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ? ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಣಿ ನಿಷ್ಠಿತ ವಿರಕ್ತ ಏವ ತ್ಯಕ್ತುಂ ಶಕ್ನೋತಿ. ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಭಾವದಲ್ಲಿ, ಬ್ರಹ್ಮನಿಷ್ಠೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಮುಳುಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂತಹವನು, ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಧ್ಯಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಳುಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂತಹವನು, ಸಮಾಧಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಳುಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂತಹವನು, ಅಂತಹ ವಿರಕ್ತ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಬಿಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, ತ್ಯಾಗವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಮರ್ಥನಾಗಿರ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಅದನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹೊರಗಿನ ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನ, ಅಹಂಕಾರ, ಮನಸ್ಸು, ಚಿತ್ತ, ಇವುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅಭಿಮಾನವನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಬಿಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಮರ್ಥನಾಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ವಿರಕ್ತನಾದವನು ಸಮರ್ಥನಾಗ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ. ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಭಾವದಲ್ಲಿ ನೆಲೆಗೊಂಡಿರತಕ್ಕಂತಹವನು, ಆತನಿಗೆ ಈ ತ್ಯಾಗ ಮನೋಭಾವ ಸಿದ್ಧಿಯಾಗುತ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. So what Acharya writes here, bahistu vishayai sangam tatha antara ahamadivihi virakta eva shaknoti tyaktum brahmani nishtitah. Brahmani nishtitah virakta eva tyaktum shaknoti. Only such a highly qualified spiritual aspirant, sadhaka, the muni, the yati, such a detached person, desireless person, firmly established in his reality, that I am the Atma Swarupa. Such a person who is established in his own reality, thinking that I am no more the body, no more the mind, no more the body-mind complex, I am that Pratyagatma Swarupa. So such a person who has completely established in his Brahma Bhava, Brahmatma Bhava, Atma Bhava, only such a person is able to give up all the external attachments. Only such a person is able to exhibit Tyaga, Vairagya. See, they're all interlinked points. Tyaga, renunciation, means detachment, giving up. Giving up. Tyaga means detachment, giving up. I always remember how our Pujya Gurudev used to hammer sometimes. profound, highest spiritual Vedantic points in a simplest English phrases. Once he said, what is sadhana? He put the question himself, our Gurudev. What is sadhana? Then he answered the question himself. Sadhana means giving up. Sadhana means giving up. That is all the answer. Short phrase. Profound meaning. So what do you mean by what our Gurudev said? Sadhana means giving up. Dash, dash, dash. Giving up what? You have to go dwell deeper into the point what our Gurudev told me. I have to dwell deeper and deeper. What is that I should give up? Giving up, Gurudev says, is sadhana. So that means I have to give up the basic feeling that I am the body. I am no more the body. I have to dissociate, tyaga. I have to renunciate that I am the body. No more, I am the body. I am no more the mind. I am no more chitta, I am no more intellect, I am no more ego, ahankar. I have a status, I have a name, I am a male, I am so many years old enough, I am so and so, my status is so and so. So the me and mine complex, the me and mine concept, I have to give up. The moment I can give up ahankara, mamakara also has to be given up. Because ahankara and mamakara go together. Me and mine concept, they go together. Our Gurudev used to always say this point. You know, this me and mine concept, ahankara and mamakara, they are the two faces of the same coin. They cannot be separated. Once you give up the ego, in the spiritual sense, when you become a pure witness, then what happens? You develop sarvatma buddhi. Everything becomes unified. There is only one vastu, sadvastu, brahmavastu, Ishvara, God, Parameshwara, Supreme Consciousness, Supreme Chaitanya, Parama Chaitanya, whatever names we give. Only one is persisting. There is no second. So the mamakara is also detached. So you detach from your body concept, you detach from your mamakara, mind concept. So that is real vairagya, our Gurudev used to give up. Giving up is sadhana. You start giving up your ego. You start giving up your hatredness. Start giving up your jealousy. Start giving up your desires one by one. One by one, it may not happen. Our Gurudev used to say, it may not happen in one day. It may not happen in 1 month. It may not happen in 1 year. But constantly think and ponder on that, reflect upon that. With determination, have faith in your Guru and God. You start asserting that you have to give up desires. Give up that ahankar. Give up that feeling of mind. Give up that hatred. Give up the anger. Give up the jealousy. Above all, give up all your desires one by one, one by one, one by one. Things happen by the prarabdha as they are bound to happen. When the body is born, as the date of birth is known, our Gurudev used to say, your date of birth is known and it is celebrated every year as a birthday. But the funny thing, your date of death is not known, but it is fixed. Gurudev used to tell, your birth date is known, celebrated every year. Happy birthday. But your death date is not known and nobody will celebrate that. Look at the fun, how the Maya captures the mind. But it is certain. Jatasya maranam dhruvam. Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita. Gurudev used to tell this point. Your death date is also fixed. Not 1 minute more, not 1 day more. You are going to live once the death date is fixed upon the birth of your body. When you are born, the death date is also fixed. Nobody can change it, postpone. So we have to give up. Give up. That is sadhana. So the fear of death should be given up. Our Gurudev used to tell about this, abhinivesha, fear of death. See, once you become death conscious, always think that today or tomorrow you are going to die. In the positive spiritual sense, Gurudev used to tell or advise this point, not to, harass somebody or not to create confusion in the mind of the listener. We should always remember that today or tomorrow, the death will snatch away the body. It is certain. It is decided. It is fixed. Nobody can change it. So once that point sets in the mind that today or tomorrow, I'm going to die, that is fixed. So once it sinks in correctly, then what happens? You start living in a simple, humble way, loving everyone internally from your mind. You don't develop any hatredness towards anybody. I'm going to die tomorrow or day after or today. So why to create a big scene, big fuss with everyone in life? Let me be peaceful and content. So you start, automatically giving up the hatredness, jealousy, envy, anger towards the world, towards the people, towards the things, everything. And your desires also will start coming down. So our Gurudev used to say, always have that death consciousness in the mind. The feeling of death should be there, always in the mind. Not in the negative sense, in the spiritual sense. Not to fool around anyone, not to, bring in depression in the mind of anyone, but in the spiritual sense. So that's how we used to tell. बहिस्तु विषये संगम तथा अंतर अहमादिभिः विरक्त एव शक्नोति त्यक्तुं ब्रह्मणि निष्ठितः. So only a detached person firmly established in Atma Swarupa or Atma Bhava, he is able to give up the attachment, sangha, to the sense perceptions or Vishaya Sukha. And similarly, he is able to give up the internal attachment, antastyaga. Internal attachment means the ego. I am the ego. I am so and so. That feeling of I, the sense of doership, sense of enjoyer. I am the karta, I am the bhokta. I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. So the feeling of ahankara he is able to give up. So that is the point to remember here. So next Acharya continues. Vairagya bodhau purushasya pakshivat pakshau vijanihi vichakshanatvam vimukti saudagra dirohanam tabhyam vinananyatarena siddhyati. Vairagya bodhau purushasya pakshivat pakshau vijanihi vichakshanatvam vimukti saudagra dirohanam tabhyam vinananyatarena siddhyati. ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ನೋಡಪ್ಪ, ವಿವೇಕಿಯಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಶಿಷ್ಯ ವತ್ಸ, ಒಂದು ಹಕ್ಕಿಗೆ 2 ರೆಕ್ಕೆಗಳು ಹೇಗಿದೆಯೋ, 2 ರೆಕ್ಕೆಗಳ ಸಹಾಯದಿಂದ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಒಂದು ಪಕ್ಷಿ ಆಕಾಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾರಳಕ್ಕೆ ಸಮರ್ಥವಾಗಿದೆಯೋ, ಅದೇ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಮನುಷ್ಯನಿಗೆ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ, ಜ್ಞಾನ ಎಂಬುದು 2 ರೆಕ್ಕೆಗಳಿದ್ದ ಹಾಗೆ. ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ, ಜ್ಞಾನ ಎಂಬ 2 ರೆಕ್ಕೆಗಳಿಂದ ಆತ ಮೇಲೆ 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 ಹಾರುತ್ತಾ ಮುಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನ ಹೊಂದುತ್ತಾನೆ, ಹೊಂದಬಲ್ಲ ಆಗುತ್ತಾನೆ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ. ಸೊ ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಸೇಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್, ವಿಚಕ್ಷಣ, ಹೇ ವಿಚಕ್ಷಣ, ಈ he calls the Shishya, the Mokshu, as Vichakshana. Look, my dear Vatsa, Vichakshana, learned one, know that the Vairagya, renunciation, Tyaga, in other words, desirelessness. Vairagya or Tyaga or renunciation and Jnana, Nijabhoda, the Atmajnana. Vairagya and Jnana are like two wings of a bird. Only with the two wings the bird can fly. With one wing, bird cannot fly. So Vairagya and Jnana both are two wings of a bird. So along with Vairagya, if the Jnana also dawns in, then you will fly like a bird up and reach the state of liberation, Mukti Saudha. You reach the mansion of liberation. That's what the example Acharya is giving. So you please remember that. Why? Because next shloka, he continues the same point. Atyanta vairagyavataha samadhi samahitasyaiva dudha prabodha prabodha tattvasya hi bandha muktihi muktatmano nitya sukhanubhutihi. He is making a now stepwise perfect statement. Atyanta vairagyavataha samadhi samahitasyaiva dhrudha prabodha prabodha tattvasya hi bandha muktihi muktatmano nitya sukhanubhutihi. ಹಂತವಾಗಿ ಸಾಧನಾ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಆಚಾರ್ಯರು ಶಂಕರ ಭಗವತ್ಪಾದರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಡಿಸಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸರಿಯಾದ ಅರ್ಥದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಧನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಅಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮ ಸಾಧನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಮುಕ್ಷು ಆದವನಿಗೆ ಆತನಲ್ಲಿ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ತೀಕ್ಷ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಬಲ್ತಾಗ, ಅತ್ಯಂತ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ ಉಂಟಾದಾಗ ಆತನಿಗೆ ಸಮಾಧಿ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಉಂಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಸಮಾಧಿ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಮುಂದೆ ನಿರ್ವಿಕಲ್ಪ ಸಮಾಧಿಯಾಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ದೃಢವಾದ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಉಂಟಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಸಮಾಧಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ನಿರ್ವಿಕಲ್ಪ ಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜ್ಞಾನೋತ್ಪತ್ತಿಯಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಆ ರೀತಿ ದೃಢವಾದ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಉತ್ಪತ್ತಿಯಾದಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ಈ ಸಂಸಾರದಿಂದ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ, ಈ ಭವಬಂಧನದಿಂದ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಪುನರ್ಜನ್ಮವಿಲ್ಲ, ಜನ್ಮರಾಹಿತ್ಯ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಉಂಟಾಗುತ್ತದೆ. ಹಾಗೆ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಆದವನಿಗೆ, ಸಂಸಾರ ಬಂಧನದಿಂದ ಮುಕ್ತನಾದವನಿಗೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಜ್ಞಾನೋತ್ಪತ್ತಿಯಾದಾಗ ಅಖಂಡ ನಿತ್ಯಾನಂದ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾನಂದ ರಸಾನುಭೂತಿಯ ಅನುಭವ ಸದಾಕಾಲ ಆತ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾನಂದದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಜಾನಂದದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಳುಗಿರುತ್ತಾನೆ. ಆತ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನಿಯಾಗಿ ಜ್ಞಾನಿಯಾಗಿ ಆತನಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪುನರ್ಜನ್ಮ ಇಲ್ಲ. So stepwise Acharya here, what he is dealing, what he is saying, Atyanta vairagyavataha samadhi. Look, my dear disciple, Vatsa, only by the intense vairagya renunciation means intense detachment towards possessing everything in life, possessing sensuous things in life, possessing pleasurable things in life. So with that intense detachment or renunciation, then only the state of samadhi occurs to the spiritual aspirant during the meditation. In the meditation, only such persons with intense vairagya, they are able to enter into samadhi state. Then only the reality will dawn, Nijabodha will occur, Atmabodha will occur, Atmadarshana will occur, Bhagavad Darshana or Brahmajnana will dawn, again by the grace of Atman, by the grace of God, by the grace of Guru, only in that samadhi state. Samahitasyaiva dudha prabodha. Now the reality will dawn in the samadhi state. Prabodha tattvasya hi bandha mukti. So when the reality dawns, when the jnana dawns, then only this bondage is cut permanently. Only when the jnana dawns, bondage is cut. What bondage? The bondage of samsara is cut. So he becomes bandhamukta. He is beyond suffering. He is beyond any of the afflictions of the mind. He becomes totally free, bandhamukta. No more binding to the samsara, no more attachment. So when the binding is cut, means his avidya, maya is cut completely. His ignorance is cut completely. The maya is cut completely. So he becomes totally free. Totally free. Prabudhyatatvasya bandhamuktihi. When he becomes free means there is no more rebirth. So this is the last birth. While living in the body, he becomes totally free from all these influences of maya, influences of avidya, this great illusion called I and mind complex, body and mind complex, this avidya, bandhana, ajnana, everything is cut off and he becomes stabilized mentally, totally stabilized. He becomes gunatita. He becomes avasthatrayatita. He becomes jivan mukta while still living in the body itself. He becomes a realized master. He becomes a Brahmajnani. He becomes a Tattvajnani. He becomes a Samadarshi. So, no more afflictions of the mind. No more bindings of the mind. No more attachments. No more desires. Nothing will move him. Nothing will bind him. Nothing will disturb him. Mentally, he is always a steady locus of Atma. He becomes Atma Swarup. No more he feels that he is the body. He is beyond the body-mind complex. He becomes purest of the pure witness, witnessing the world as if a person who has just awakened from the dream, only after awakening from the dream, he says that so far I had seen a dream. Everything was false. Now I am awakened. So a jnani really becomes awakened person from this dream called samsara. This longest dream called waking state. See, we are all in the waking state, talking, living, working, procrastinating, continuing our life with all our feelings. This whole waking state is a big dream till the last breath, till the last point of death. We don't know. Only a jnani, he wakes up from this dream called waking state. So he becomes a purna. He becomes a realized master. So no more attachments, no more mental suffering, no more rebirth. He becomes one with Paramatma, merges with Paramatma in our normal colloquial sense. Actually, there is nothing like to merge. Everything is only one. For saying, we say that he merges with Brahma. He merges with Brahma means Brahmatma Aikya Bhava. So that happens. Muktatmano Nitya Sukhanubhutihi. So that is everlasting, eternal Brahmananda Sthiti. He is in the ocean of bliss. He is nothing but the ocean of bliss. He radiates that Ananda to the whole world. There is no enemy or no friend to him. Whole thing is nothing but a Maya Prapancha. So now he knows that whole thing is bound by Maya itself. And he is in the Maya world, but he is now away from it. So he becomes a pure witness. So that is the point Acharya is telling here. Next, fairly long shloka. Vairagyanna param sukasya janakam pashyami vashyatmanah tachet buddhataratma bodha sahitam swarajya samrajya dhuk etadvara ajasra mukti yuvater yasmat pamasmat param sarvatra spruhya sadatmani Sada prajnam urushreyase. Fairly long one. We have to split that. 4 charanas are there. First 2 charanas we will take. Vairagyatna param sukhasya janakam pashyami vashyatmanah tatyet shuddhataratma bodha sahitam swarajya samrajya dhuk. It means what? ಯಾರು ತಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸನ್ನ ಚಿತ್ತವನ್ನ ಅಹಂಕಾರವನ್ನ ಗೆದ್ದುಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೋ ಅಂಥವನಿಗೆ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಉತ್ತಮವಾದಂತಹ ಸುಖವನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಇನ್ಯ ಯಾವ ವಸ್ತು ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಶಿಷ್ಯ. ಆಚಾರ್ಯ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಮನಸ್ಸನ್ನ ಗೆದ್ಕೊಂಡಿರೋವನಿಗೆ, ವಶ್ಯಾತ್ಮನಃ ಮನಸ್ಸನ್ನ ಚಿತ್ತವನ್ನ ಗೆದ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವನಿಗೆ, ಅವುಗಳನ್ನ ಹಿಡಿತದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವನಿಗೆ, ಮನೋಬುದ್ಧಿಗಳನ್ನು ತನ್ನ ವಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವನಿಗೆ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಇನ್ನು ಉತ್ತಮವಾದ ಸುಖ ಮತ್ಯಾವುದೂ ನಾನು ಹೊಸದಾಗಿ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಶಿಷ್ಯ. ಆತನಿಗೆ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯವೇ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠ ಭೂಷಣ. ಅದು ಅಂತಹದರಲ್ಲಿ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ ಸಂಪನ್ನನಾದಂತಹ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಆತ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನದಿಂದ ಕೂಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆತ ನಿಜವಾದ ಸ್ವರಾಜ್ಯ ಸಾಮ್ರಾಜ್ಯವನ್ನ ಅನುಭವಿಸ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವನಾಗ್ತಾನೆ. ಚೇತ್ ಶುದ್ಧತರಾತ್ಮಬೋಧ ಸಹಿತಂ ಸ್ವರಾಜ್ಯ ಸಾಮ್ರಾಜ್ಯ ಧುಕ್. ಯಾವ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಇಂದ್ರಿಯಗಳನ್ನ ವಶದಲ್ಲಿಟ್ಟುಕೊಂಡು ಬಿಗಿ ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅಹಂಕಾರ ಚಿತ್ತ ಮನಸ್ಸನ್ನ ತನ್ನ ಕೈಲಿಟ್ಟುಕೊಂಡು ಜೊತೆಗೆ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯವನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಆತ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ ನಿಧಿ ಸಂಪನ್ನನಾದರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಇನ್ನೇನಿದೆ. ಆತ ಅಂತಹ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಆತ್ಮಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿದಾಗ ಆತನೇ ನಿಜವಾದ ಸಾಮ್ರಾಟ್, ಆತನೇ ನಿಜವಾದ ಸ್ವರಾಜ್ಯ ಸಾಮ್ರಾಟ ಧುಕ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ವರಾಜ್ಯ ಸಾಮ್ರಾಜ್ಯವನ್ನ ಹೊಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್? ದಿ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಹೂ ಇಸ್ totally what is called as endowed with control of the mind, chitta and buddhi. Vairagyatna param sukhasya janakam pashyami vashyatmanah. Acharya is telling the Shishya. Vashyatmanah, he says, the one who has controlled his mind with Shama and Dama, mind, chitta and ahankara, if they are under control, if the senses are in his control, vashyatmana, if any aspirant, any sadhaka controls all his senses, indriyas, his mind, his buddhi, his chitta and his ahankara, everything if he controls properly, if he establishes his supremacy over that, vashyatmana, meaning that Mahaswami here writes the commentary on this word, vashyatmana. Vairagyatna param sukhasya janakam pashyami vashyatmana. What is vashyatmana? The one who is endowed with this total control over his indriyas, sense organs, mind and buddhi. And Mahaswami writes one very pertinent point for this word vashyatmana. What is it? See, there are people, according to Yoga Darshana, according to Yoga Shastra, they develop so many siddhis as propounded in Patanjali Maharshi's Yoga Darshana. By constant practice with one-pointed concentration, by doing the yoga of particular type, they acquire so many siddhis. They become very popular. They become Siddha Purusha. In the Yoga Darshana, most among so many siddhis, miraculous powers, siddhi means, 8 are very famous. There are so many miraculous powers a yogi will be endowed with by the grace of God during his sadhana, during the spiritual practice. Of all that, 8 are most important according to Veda. 8 siddhis are very important. What are the 8 siddhis or miraculous powers? Ashtasiddhi they are called. Mahaswami, Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswami is writing on like this. Ashtasiddhi they are called. Anima, Mahima, Garima, Laghima, Prapti, Prakamya, Ishatva, and Vashitva. 8 siddhis. Anima means, transforming yourself into the minute dust part. You disappear and you appear as a minutest part. Anima. That is a miraculous power, thumergetic power as it is. Or Mahima. You become most mighty, strong, very tall. Garima. Garima means you become so much heavy, stout, nobody can lift your body up. Even 100 people come and they cannot lift your body up. Garima. Lagima, next siddhi. You become so slender, so thin, so transparent, slender than a grass, Lagima, so that you can sway and drift in the air. Prapti. Prapti means reaching out to any farthest corners in the world or outside the world in the space. Prapti. Akashagaman. Prapti. Prakamya. Prakamya is another siddhi. Obtaining anything you want. You desire something, it will come to you. Obtaining or possessing anything you want, that's called a siddhi, a miraculous power called Prakamya. Ishatva. Ishatva means, Isha means actually Paramatma or God. Here in the siddhi sense, Ishatva means overlordship. You lord, you become a super lord, you become a big boss over everyone. That is, you become a samrat, you become an emperor, in other words, you become a samrat. Samrat, Chakravarti, emperor, everybody will bow down to you. Ishatva. Vashitva, next thing, Vashitva. Controlling others. You can control the mind of any person you want. Attract any person you want. Control any person you want. Make him your slave and tell him to do anything you want and he will do. Like a robot. That is Vashit. So these are all 8 prominent siddhis, Mahaswami writes. So even if a yogi in a spiritual sadhana obtains any one of these 8 siddhis or any one or all the 8 siddhis, become very popular, still if he is not endowed with vairagya, then he will fall down in the spiritual line. He will never be liberated. He will never become a jnani. He will never escape the cycle of birth and death called samsara. The first line, Vairagyatna param sukasya janakam pashyami vashyatmanaha. First line only. This is how lengthy bhashyam treatise, commentary Mahaswami is giving. So, Guru Sankalpa, I am stopping today at the first charana of the shloka 375 in Viveka Chudamani. Sri Rama Jaya Jaya Rama, Sri Rama Jaya Jaya Rama, Sri Rama Jaya Jaya Rama, Sri Rama Jaya Jaya Rama. Hari Om Tat Sat Om Namo Bhagavate Virajeshwara.
Thank you, sir. So enlightening. All the people who chase these siddhis, we should heed this advice that Vairagya is beyond all that, and not to chase siddhis or not to do sadhana in the hope of achieving siddhis and stop there. Hari Om, sir.
What? I have nothing to say right now. Next session, next week we'll take up this.
Sir. Hari Om, sir.
Okay. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.